miss you. Okay. Not till I'm done with this talk. All right, so thank you to the DerbyCon guys and Dave, which I don't know if you can see what Dave's holding a K-22, so he's probably the one who's been breaking into the hotel room, because I know he can do it. I have to thank United, obviously, because I live on the fucking airplane. And you guys for sitting around and listening to awesome PowerPoint. I have a disclaimer, which if you want to hold the door open for a second, there's a certain number of triggers in my talk. So please don't go write a blog post or bitch if you like, oh, he's so offensive. Like, shut up and leave. It's your fucking choice. And if you don't like it, get the fuck out. I don't want to deal with your shit. Please. Thank you. We're all pretend adults here. All right. So we went out partying for a little last night, and I got a very good night's sleep, and I'm fired up to fuck shit up today. Like, I'm very excited to take stuff on. They should turn this down because I'm going to yell more because I get excited and yell. Thanks, man. All right, I'll probably swear too. So that's a given, right? That's just going to happen. Anyway, I'm Chris. That's me in a bunch of different formats. I have a CISA. I have a CSSP. I have a fuckload of drinks. You can have one of these if you have Photoshop. It's super, super easy. It's about as hard to do as the test. I have a bunch of other certs as well, but none of that shit matters because I love my job and I'd still be doing this shit anyway, even if I didn't have the wonderful ability that I have to be doing what I do. So much that I make graphs about how much I love my job, because it's PowerPoint, right? You got to make graphs of shit. Like, I really like it. Run a company with a bunch of really fucking talented people that humble me every single day. We do code review. We do, some application testing. We do incident response. Perform risk assessments. We do picking. We do pen testing. And obviously we do some red teaming and a bunch of other really shady, weird shit that if you're beyond what the normal InfoSec services are, we can probably help in some way or another. All right, yeah, love me, whatever. Okay, the talk. I have no idea what this talk is about. I wrote the abstract in like 10 minutes because I wanted to talk about stories, because I figure it's easier to learn from shit if you just tell a story than it is for me to sit there and be like, do this, then do this, then do that. And then you go home and you're like, I need the presentation. Who cares? So our industry's a piece of shit. We suck, right? We all know that. We all know we suck. There's statistics that show how bad we suck. So we lose more money every year, but we spend more money every year, right? That's like the worst investment ever. Like, if we were stockbrokers, all of us would be homeless. No more hookers, no more cocaine, just homeless stockbrokers, right? So we fail. You gotta like wait sometimes to really see. So I was trying to figure out why we fail, and I think we all have different solutions of why we do it and what's going on. But my real answer for all of you who want to hate on me is that the vendors keep fucking us over. All of us, right? They really, really do. They're like, oh, this is new stuff that you need to buy, like application firewalls from the 90s, or, oh, APT. This is a brand new thing. Humans attacking humans. This is so fucking new. Wow. Wow, amazing. We should put a box in place for it. I'm sure that's what Grog thought when someone was stealing his bitch. But it's so bad that they can't do anything. Like, they can't do anything right. Oh, we'll buy a bunch of AV. Sweet. We sucked 50% more at it this year than last year. What do? Buy more AV. Why? PCI told me to. Enjoy getting screwed. Oh, that can't come up well on the screen. So it says 79% of respondents selected. end users. They selected end users as the #1 group responsible for the security of cloud providers. Somebody said that shit. Not only somebody, most of the people said that shit. Right? Like, hey guys, clean up your own shit. That's retarded. That's so dumb. Like, I understand me doing the best I can to work myself out of a job because my customers are fairly secure, but this is just a fucking ignorant statement. And we're like, oh yeah, sounds cool. You know, back to cash and checks. All right, so what's wrong? You look at stuff like data loss DB, right? And you see all these different attacks that people want to source from. But when you break it down, we suck at security conferences too. Because we're teaching all these people about hacking and web attacks when the bulk of the attacks are not from that. Period. Oh, let's go buy more web and hack shit. Well, why? Statistics show that it's not the most common venue for attack. Oh, well, what do we do? All right, well, we have to go test all these things, right? That's what most of our jobs end up being, to test to see if this stuff works. Problem is that we have all these postulates, right? I think this box is going to protect against APT, my Whammo-Dyne 6000 Platinum Elite Pro Next Gen AP and whatever the fuck it's called, right? But there's no proofs. We have this like mathematical problem and we forget math. We just go, oh, well, the answer's like this one time, totally good. And then what happens? Gartner's like, you're right. The smart kids in the hacker conferences said that it stopped it once, so they're good. And then the customers are like, sweet, we'll spend $1 million on that shit. And then you forget that 90 other iterations of it prove it false. So as testers, if we're ever testers, any of you are testers, your job is to make as many proofs as possible to show them that these postulates may or may not be true and to guard them from all of the other scenarios, right? That's our jobs, yeah? Word. All right, so why is it so fucked up? You have a security program. Security programs are super easy. They're made up of 3 things. You have electronic stuff, you have physical stuff, you have social stuff. Cool? Does that cover just about everything? Right, and we do physical tests. Most of the time when we do physical tests, we have all these misconceptions about a physical test, right? Like, no one's just going to walk into the building. Really? Isn't that what they do every day? You know, oh, well, we have a process. I mean, one of my guys was out in China, and after they had already gotten into the building, they were doing a physical security review, and they're like, so, and they walked them through exactly how they got in the building, and they're like, if someone was to ever do that, well, how would you respond? And they're like, there's no way that would happen. And they bring them over to this wall of processes. And they're like, these are all the things we do to check people in, to make sure that they're legit, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, he's like laughing his ass off because he's like, I'm sitting next to you, right? And the problem there is that most of the time we do physical security controls in general, we're doing it as a byproduct of some type of audit, and the auditors have no idea about what they're doing with physical security, so they go through and they're like, do you have cameras? Yes. Is the camera pointed at the wall? Not on my questionnaire. You know, fucking done. You're done. Do you make sure that people who are shady don't roll around your facility? Yes, we have process. Word. Can you prove it? Not on my questionnaire. That's how physical security is done. Right? And I know that there's people that do more than that, but for the most part, that's how it gets looked at. And we have to accept that and up our game in it. Right? Because if we do all of these things in physical security, we can get some type of legitimate review. We can get some real constructive configurations, but we do test of design and we never test effectiveness in physical security. How come we're not busting people on that constantly? All right, social. Social we do even worse. We did phishing. That's a social engineering test. Are you fucking kidding me? Social engineering? What part of that was social? And you better not call yourself an engineer because you hit send on a fucking email. All right? Get out of my face. You're full of shit if you think that that's what that is. Oh, I made up a story and lied to somebody. Really? Read a fucking book. Okay? My mother's a better social engineer than most of the people who claim to be doing that stuff. And even then, well, what do? Oh, we sent a misspelled shitty 419 scam email to a bunch of our users, and 99 out of 140 clicked. We have metrics around phishing. What do your metrics mean? Nothing. Oh, that people click stuff? No shit. It's the most fun thing you can do on a computer. It's the fucking most fun shit you can do. Everything else, boring as hell. Clicking shit, super awesome. Look, more kitties. Oh, look, titties, porn, this, that. You click your way to fucking bliss in a computer. You never do shit without clicking. So tracking who clicked? Of course it clicked. There's so many other aspects of this. There's phone, there's in person, there's all the inherent controls. There's the, oh, well, we know people are going to click, so what are you going to do about that? I don't know, make more metrics or defend them from themselves. Right? All of a sudden, Ford goes out of business. Why? They got rid of mouses. You know, like, it's just brutal, right? So we suck at that. But there's some people, again, not to devoid all hope, but there's some people that actually do it. There's some people that test many, many, many different levels and have extracted it way outside of who clicks and why, and have built it into their training program and are able to actively respond to the users and coach and educate them. Shit, we have a client that anytime they get phished, somebody has to wear a Finding Nemo hat for a whole day. Yeah. You know who clicks on shit in their organization? Nobody, because they don't want to look like an asshole. And then the new people come in and they're like, what up, Nemo? Right? It's pretty cool. Like, I think that's a legit way to do it. I'm down with embarrassing people. I do it to myself constantly. I mean, I can barely talk English. Electronic. So I made my arbitrary graph there, just like the others, because I think we do a little bit better in electronic. Why? Because there's all of us sitting at conferences jerking each other off, yelling at each other, being like, you shouldn't let people hack things, you know? And then all of us go home at night when we're not at work and we go own a bunch of shit and we're like, look, there's bad hackers on the internet that are hacking stuff. Call me and I'll protect you. Right? We're such a mafia industry, it's awesome. Right? There's crime in the streets, let me help you. You know? Blood diamonds are awesome. All right, so we have all these general misconceptions with electronic testing too. If I do a pen test, I'll find the ways the bad guy gets in. Really? You will? You mean you're gonna really find those ways? Like I have 100 years to test your business, and your pen test that you limited to 1 week and only 50 of your 5,000 fucking systems. And you wanted to do it only at night when, you know, like, Jesus was in Pegasus Rising and whatever fucking weird astrological shit you decide you're going to let me do. And, oh, you're going to do a pen test without exploitation. Anybody hear that one? That's cute. So, I'm sorry, your ignorance hurts me. I have to leave this conference. Right? But it doesn't help. But granted, there's some people who do electronic testing really, really, really well. But they oftentimes set all of these jobs up for failure, right? You won't allow exploitation, you restrict the hours, you improperly scope. And this is the case for all of them, for social, for physical, and for electronic. You only observe stuff instead of actually testing it. Oh, we just go through and we lock all the doors and we put a, you know, deny any on our firewall, and we're like, come at us, bro. I love those. Especially when they allow us to do it on a red team job and they batten down the hatches and we like Babe Ruth it. I'm like, hey, saw that you locked that door last night. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. Or they stop you in the middle of a test. We had a test like that. Brutal, right? We get into everything all over the place, and they tap out on a Wednesday. Straight up tap out on a Wednesday, right? We're like, okay, cool. You know, for the rest of the week, we'll do some other stuff. We'll do some observation. We'll show you what other things we can find, et cetera, et cetera. Friday morning, they're like, we'd like to continue with the test. All right, cool. So we go to look at the way that we got in. They fixed it that night. So we look at a couple other ways they had fixed it that night. So we went to our boxes where we still had shells calling out, and we're like, huh, all right, motherfucker, come get it. Oh, you put an APB out for Eric and I. That's really cute. I'm going to send a fucking stranger into your building. Here's a phone plug. I want you to go in and do this. Don't worry, I'll put you on the batch list. So we have all this stuff, but we're so concerned about these like security pills that oftentimes it takes us away. But in the event that you guys are actually doing social, electronic, and physical well, individually, you're doing them well. There's still those points of convergence that create a much larger attack surface than was there before. So my favorite quote is that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, right? This is a quote that every single enterprise on earth needs to figure out, because they all want to do nothing and watch blinky lights and get a dashboard of security. I want a dashboard of my feelings. You know, I just think maybe sometimes if we only worked with a dictionary and when someone said a word, we wrote the definition on the board, like our industry would be screwed because we just miss all these language things. Security, you do this and this and this for security. Security is a feeling. What? Oh man, I need my feelings dashboard. And you just call it the feelings dashboard, people would seem and feel like an idiot that they really are, being like, well, I checked in on the feelings dashboard today and it's, you know, it's Care Bear's there. And they're like, woo, you know, and fucking the rainbow's coming out, and they're like, security's all good, fucking Care Bear's down with it. Or it's like Grumpy, and he's in the corner, and he's like flicking somebody off and like kicking a Smurf, you know? Fuck you, yeah. But in the event that you have found a genie, wished for everything that you could have, and done all of those testing mechanisms as best as you could do them, right? We have to accept that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right? We have this convergence thing that happens. And for layman people who don't want to go through the whole dictionary exercise, convergence is getting punched right in your face, right? That is attacking you by any and all means necessary. That's why the red team loves you, okay? These areas of convergence are our gift back to you. It's love. It's us trying to help you understand that it all comes together someday. Yeah? Cool. All right, so we have some of those convergence points, like physical and electronic. Any of you guys test some of this stuff in the way that you do testing now? Other than Dave, because we took him on a red team job? Ooh, it's okay. It's all right for everyone to learn. So, so when you're looking at like the electronic and physical, what's that? Oh, I mean, I have other slides for you. I can unhide them. So when you're looking at these programs, right, and you're just looking at electronic and just looking at physical, the biggest convergent point of that is the things that ride on the electronic network that control physical systems, right? So how many of you can name a badge system? What? Yeah, I'm on a fucking stage. You're in, and you're like way over there. Linnell, okay. S2, and Meg, okay. So we have a couple people who are naming badge systems. Everybody's like, fuck, right? All right, quick primer in owning badge systems. They're physical security people. Number one, physical security people install physical security badge systems in a physical security way. You know what that means? Default passwords always work, always. The installers put it in because it's default passwords because they're too busy stringing up readers, and they're like, whatever, I don't care. And they haven't read through all of the different accounts in the system anyway to figure out all the service accounts and all the other bullshit that it does. Look for that stuff. It's really easy to find. There's not a lot of stuff out there that's listening on the same ports that they are, and if there is, it's super easy to find them. Yeah? Paycom. Who would have thought that that was the account? Right? Viewer admin. Sounds good. Right? That's all video badge systems. ProWatch. whoever it installs as automatically logs into the program. By the way, what that means, though, is it's tied to console. It's not remote. So if you remote into the box and try and add that user and open the thing, it freaks out, fails. So you have to go install Dameware, VNC, or one of those things, bring up console on the box, log into it like you're sitting there at the machine, then the thing works perfectly. Right? Helpful? Yeah. Sweet. WinDSX, another one of the major badge systems that's out there. I have a copy up in my room for all of your researchers who want to find bugs on it. It's real easy. Admin blank, another really good password. Finding things on 10,002, you're going to find hardly anything on 10,002, right? You're going to find maybe every once in a while some old school management stuff, like the 10,000, 10,001 stuff that went over to 10,002. 3001 and 2101, you're not going to find hardly any of that. Now, 5555 and 5556. Defaults is SA blank. You can find that with your scanners. What's in there? I'm not going to say that there's just plain text credits in the database that you can pull out, but in the event that you looked and that shit was there, I would contact the vendor and make sure that they fix it. OnGuard. Man, Linnell's really kicking ass, right? They're like one of the biggest badge systems that are out there. They're so big that they even have normal web pages that are on every one of their systems for all the different management functions that most people have no idea exist. Even the people that I talk to that install Linnell constantly have no clue that any of those web pages exist. Oh yeah, all of them are running with rights and directly to it. One of them's really cool. One of them's just a little SQL box that you can run SQL queries in. There's no auth, it's just a little SQL box. And when I asked somebody about that, he was like, well, that's how our mobile application talks to the app. I was like, you manage your shit through SQL injection? That's hardcore. Fucking sweet, he's like, well, yeah. I'm like, don't change that. That's awesome. That's very functional. Another thing that's cool about them is they have a license server that runs on 9999, and the license server is a neat web interface where you can pick what licenses that you have, and you can also get access to the database to enable those licenses. So you pick it, and then you go to the database, and you go, no, installed. And then you can get to their mobile app. They have a mobile app, like an app that you put on your phone, which means the same, APK or Apple download file can go to everybody, and you guys can pull it apart and watch administrative traffic, aka SQL injections. Super, super easy to play with, by the way. I don't know anything about that. I'm just saying it looks like it's easy because it's a web app, and all these people talk about owning web app shit. Really, there's no reason that this shit should even exist on the network. Yet when I was just at the Asia show on Tuesday, there were 8 vendors who said access management from the cloud. Wait a second, so you can open my shit from the internet? You can open my door from the internet? They're like, yes, you don't have to manage it yourself. I'm like, keep it up, bro. Keep it up. Innovation is bomb. You guys are leading the way. Go for it. More ways for me to just get in. We literally, I'll talk about it in a minute, but we literally had a job where we bought tablets because we knew we could use the app to get in. And we're walking around the place with the client, be like, boop, doors open. They're like, what the fuck? I'm like, yeah, boop, 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 boop. We're opening other people's doors. We're people are going up to the door. We're like, watch this shit, boop. And they're hit their badge, and they're wondering why the door opened first, and they stop, and the door closes, open the badge again. They're like, they don't know what's happening. Casper's sitting there with his HID card, being like, motherfucker, I got you. All right, so when you're looking at badge systems, please remember the traditional attacks of badge systems, okay? Replace, add, promote, and exploit. Do we all understand the methodology for badge systems? Cool. So replacing is easy. You find somebody with the name that you have, or whoever can make you a fake ID and what fake ID name that you have. You replace your picture. You are that person. You don't have to do anything else. You just put your picture in, and you're that person. Oh, by the way, remember we were talking about that has a database, and that has a database, and that has a database, and that one, and they all have default credentials. Guess how hard it is to replace somebody's picture. Okay. Anyway, adding people to the badge system is great. If you remotely compromise an environment, add someone to the badge system with their picture and all the valid credentials and everything else, and send them in there and say, "Hi, I'm a new employee." And they say, "Oh, click, click, click. You're in the badge system. Cool. Click, click, click. You don't have a card assigned to you. Here's a card." Win. Seems stupid, but these are conversion attacks that happen constantly that I have not seen fail anywhere. And we test some people who are really, really hard. That sounds good. Anyway, promotion. Go get a badge. Go in as a visitor. If your company hands people HID visitor badges, stop it right now. Stop it. Don't ever do that again. If you test a company that has HID badges, that hands visitor badges to people, open hand slap them. Like, put powder on your hand and own their ass. Like, they need something to wake them up. It's not okay. An exploit. That's that app, by the way. It has a button that says open all doors. That shit is real. That says open all doors, root all systems. Yes. It's the coolest sound you will hear in your life. Hey man, I'm at this store. Click, not that one. Click, not that one. Fuck this. Click. And you're like, whoa. People in their offices are like, what's that noise? You know? All right. Physical and social. Sometimes you got to play dress up, right? And be hammered afterward. So, I'm going to leave you with that for a second. So we go to this job, right? And it's completely locked down. Very, very, very well. As we're sitting there, we're like, man, I don't know what we're going to do to get into this place. So we're doing some profiling. We own some stuff on the outside. And I found this Eaton box. And, Eaton does power control and stuff like that. Well, the Eaton box was registered to Dominion Power. I'm like, oh, cool. We just get some Dominion Power shirts, we'll roll in, we'll say the Eaton system's fucked up, pretext works, if they know what the fuck's going on in their environment, we're good, right in the data center, we're good to go. So we get ready for all this stuff. You do your traditional, drive around the building, you're doing things, you go back to the hotel, you rub one out, you take a dump, you're like, okay, I'm ready to go. You get back in the car, you're like, oh, I gotta take another dump, you stop at 7-Eleven, you're all freaking pent up. You're like, okay, I hope I don't get caught. This is going to suck. Both of us are here. If we get burned now, we're screwed. We're going to look like idiots, blah, blah, blah. Get over that. So we're going to go in one at a time. Just in case, we're going one at a time. So Eric goes in, right? So Eric walks into this place, and he's walking in. He's talking to the guard about being from Dominion Power and all this other stuff. And this dude just storms out of the data center. He's like, you from Johnson Controls? And he's like, yeah. Deadpan, straight up, ready to go. Yep. Come on, man, come on. Just mush the security guard, peace. Walks right in the data center, right? And now I don't see any of this. I'm just sitting in the car sweating because Eric hasn't come back out yet. I haven't gotten the ha ha ha, I'm in thing. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Talking a little bit more. And I'm waiting, all of a sudden my phone hits. And he's texting me weird names and shit, and I don't know what it's about. I'm like, no context, dude. Obviously he's in the middle of a conversation with somebody trying to DL type something, and it just says Liebert. That's it. And then nothing. And then Johnson Controls. So I get Liebert and Johnson Controls. So I'm on the internet okay, it's a code. I gotta research something. I got my Wi-Fi access point and shit up. I'm looking for all this stuff. Finally, he gives me a call. He's obviously in the room with the people. And he's like, man, I can't believe none of our techs have been out here. They've been calling us all day, and no one's been out here. And dude, is there any way that you could get off the job that you're on now and come down here because I know that you're a badass at the Liebert stuff and they have this real big problem going on. There's all these sounds and lights and crazy shit going on for the data center. I'm like, all right, fine, no problem. Back to 7-Eleven, take a dump, get another soda, come back to the place. Eric's outside with the guy from the data center smoking. Sees me roll up, I roll out. I also have the Dominion Power t-shirt on because we didn't, I didn't get that part of it. But we look the same, so it's legit that we work together. And we go in, and the guy's like, man, I gotta show you what's going on. And Eric's like now billed me as the fucking Liebert tech. So this dude's been waiting 13 hours because his fucking power distribution system is fucked up, and I'm the person who's gonna go fix it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that, dude. So we go up to the thing, and there's this crazy, like, loud-ass alarm. So the first thing that I do, look at the alarm box, there's a button on it, push it, hold it, alarm turns off. Dude's like, man, I've been trying to get that shit to turn off all day. I'm like, it's just the button, dude. He's like, yeah, that thing's fucking annoying. I'm like, yes, it is. So we're going on and on. Like, guys, like, here's the Liebert, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh yeah, and so I'm just like a boss, just through configuration shit. No fucking idea at all what I'm looking at. Just yeah. Oh, okay, I think I get it. Let me get under it. See if I can see where this issue is. So we pop a floor tile, and there's fucking like hot oil spraying underneath it, and I'm like in the ceiling tile upside down. There's fucking oil and shit on my face, and I'm like trying to hold it back, and I'm like Googling for Liebert oil leak. And I get out, and I'm like starting to find some forums and shit. And I'm like, all right, I got it. I had to get out for a second and take a break. And there's just oil and shit all over me. I look at the guy, and the dude's like, damn. I'm like, yeah, I need to get cleaned up. I'll fix it. I got it. So I go to the bathroom so I could finish reading the forum post on like what the deal was for high head pressure and how to reduce the high head pressure valve. So I get back out, and I'm like, okay, seems legit. Pretty sure I read this like, 2-line man file that said you could just release this screw and I shouldn't die. I roll under the thing, release the screw a little bit, go back to the config thing, the error's cleared. I'm like, word, fixed your Liebert. Right? This dude was about it with us. He was like our best friend. So the whole time that's going on, it's great because now Eric's like, he's like trying to get into stuff. The guy removes the Ethernet. He's like, we got to check it online. So he removes the Ethernet cord from the DVR of the data center and gives it to him. He's like, here, use this. He's like, word, I will use that. And so I go back in, and I don't, I get stressed, and I got to kind of like move my stress out so I don't feel like we're going to get caught. So he's like, man, I don't know why this and this has happened or whatever else. I was like, call him. I like call him because this is bullshit. Y'all should have been taken care of. So he gets this guy on the phone who is the dispatcher who was supposed to send the Johnson Controls guys out. I lit him up. I was like, what the fuck? And I'm screaming, and this dude's like this. I slammed the phone down. I was like, sir, I'm sorry, this will never happen again. He was like, fuck those people, man. He's like, thank God. Like, hugs me. He's like, man, thank you for fixing this stuff. Meanwhile, like, Eric has a Pwn plug installed. He has other shit up. Like, has rooted 2 of their computers that were like the 2 knock computers that were in the place. So we got out of the data center and had to get into some other areas that had sensitive data, so we had to go find some maps. So Chris was on map hunt. Obviously, he found them. And all the places that we were trying to get into, we couldn't because of the way the particular badge system that they had was configured. It wasn't on the network, so we had to physically go find it. So we were like, okay, how do we get into the area, right? So look at the map of the area that Chris had started to find. He was like, dude, we should go to facilities. I'm sure they have keys. They did. The nice part about key boxes, it's the most complex array of keys in an entire environment protected by a fucking wafer lock. Oops. Like, that's just so dumb. But anyway, we got the keys, we ran around. Later, for another client that was going on as part of this whole electronic and physical thing, we had a bitch of a time getting in, right? Because it was a very, very, let's call it sensitive facility. People in sensitive facilities hate getting hot. So when you turn the heat way the fuck up in the office, those people kind of trip, right? They get a little bit concerned. So you go in as the HVAC guy and you're good. And if all else fails, pretend you're an authority. I said nothing. Chris and I were talking about this today. I handed him a note saying that one of the IT security guys that they had was under investigation for fraud, right? And I brought it to the facilities team and said that they needed to let me in the data center so I could make a tap so that we could start doing an investigation. So it said in the letter. I handed him the letter, he looked at me, and I just stared at him. And he looked back at the letter, and he was about to say something, and I just continued to blankly stare at him, and he was like, okay. And just left and humbly got a badge for me and escorted us to the data center so that we could conduct our work. Electronic and social. Sometimes when you fish people, you find really neat stuff. Like in this one, you can see that they use a third-party management system for their building. By the way, for those of you doing testing in big cities, Chicago, New York, those things, most of the time the first ingress point of security and physical security is building security. So what do? Oh, well, you log in with their username and password to the building security visitor thing, and then you put yourself on as a Deloitte auditor. Because everybody knows that the Deloitte guys can go wherever they want. But once you get in the environment, you got to find stuff, right? Because you're really going into an environment like that blind. And sometimes when you're going in blind, you need to find specific users to figure out where you're going to go after that. So go find the users. Find the people that you want to get, right? Find the boxes that they're on. Do you guys use NLTest and DSQuery? Right? Like the two most functional, helpful hacking Windows commands that I think exist. If you don't, please learn how to use Windows. Don't bitch about how awesome Linux is when most of the time you're owning Windows boxes. Learn how to fucking use Windows. It's a great hacking platform. It finds all the shit you need for you. You want to own boxes quickly? Don't scan stuff. Look for the oldest boxes that there are. It's ridiculous to say, I'm going to scan this giant Class A network when all you have to do is be like, give me Wounded Gazelle, and it goes, bruh, here's the 10 systems that are vulnerable. Why would you ever cause so much traffic that has the potential of setting their IDS up? Oh, I know, because you know their IDS doesn't work because it's shit. Fine, great. Let's pretend someday IDS works, right? Do it this way. You won't get caught. The first exploit that you send will work. You don't need to scan shit. You need fucking tools. Just own it. Be done. Like DA from there, quick shot. Finding users? You can even find users the same way. If you're trying to figure out how to get into an environment physically or socially, and you need to find who it is, go find that specific user. Get on their machine. Go to My Documents. Find all their weird shit. Take snapshots of the dude, the gay dude with his ball hanging out and the two pumpkins on his ass and be like, okay, that's a weird guy, but he has got a lot of privileges in the environment. So then later on in the report, you put like an X'd out version of that picture and they're like, dude, like you shouldn't store those on your machine, but I got you, I didn't show it, right? You guys have all used NetView, yeah? Or found domain users before through lookup, or use NetShare? Anybody? NetShare, and then the share name, so you can see a list of everybody who's connected to that share? Or DS querying the user itself? Or how about that? When you get on a file folder, like it's share 01 of the organization. Go to manage. When you get on that box, go to manage and share folders and sessions and see everybody that's logged in and what computer they're logging in from, so you know which box to own. Anybody use NetShare Monitor? Because you can do it remotely. So you use creds to attach to the machine, and it just gives you a constant dump of every session that comes in and out. Super helpful shit when you're trying to specifically own one person. So all of these things, right? All of these things are converged attack vectors that most people just don't look at. And I can talk about them because, one, I'm an idiot. I'm not as technical as y'all. And two, I just look for easy ways to get in because I'm a slacker. But the easy ways are what get you. Right? So don't have no hope. There's... Do I have to drink this? I'm not drinking that. You can warm ice people. I just will hold it. Drink one with me. Go get one. Go get one. I'm almost done. See? All right. My suggestion is to please try and test converged areas because it inspires teams to work together. You'd be amazed to see the amount of people in physical security that thank us after assessments because they never, ever, ever are allowed to talk to the IT guys. The IT guys never talk to physical because they're like, whatever, you have keys. The physical guys are like, whatever, you have computers. They have the same fucking goal, protect assets. We should be on the same team. We should constantly work together. And stuff like this gives them a common enemy, you. Be their common enemy so that you can progress the security of their environment. If that's what it takes, be the bad guy. Cool? Word. Finally in this, some of the tools and stuff that we use, we made in bags for our class, and we gave them to Johnny to support Actors for Charity. So if you're interested in other physical ways or other random shady stuff that we do on site, he can teach you a lot about that. I can, or you can go buy bags and go break into hotel rooms. Because, the elevator keys and stuff like that are in there. And then, two, as much experience as we may have in this, always accept that there are partners out there who are absolute gangsters. And humble yourself to partner with them. Because it ups everyone's game. And the more game that all of us have, the easier it is to communicate impact to other people. So we've partnered with Deviant on some of the physical security stuff because as much as we know and as many things as we've been into, I need to tap as much experience as humanly possible when I'm putting together kits or whether I'm trying to get on site. Or if it's, I'm in front of this thing I've never seen before, take a picture, what the fuck, right? And they laugh at you and they're like, oh, ha ha ha, that's a blah, 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 blah. And you're like, don't know what your nerd talk means, how do I break it? Right? And they're like, well, you do the blah, blah, blah. And you're like, seriously, I got 10 more seconds before I get owned and beat up by a security guard. They're like, oh, just hit the switch. I'm like, all right, sweet. So make sure that you use the resources you have. You're at a conference like this, meet as many people as you can outside of your area of focus. But when people are talking on your area of focus, where you're the gangster one, suck it up for a minute and see if there's other people out there that can up your game. I know that we're not the best at anything. I know that. That's a fact. But I am absolutely ready to talk to every single person who's ever done the stuff that we did or not the stuff that we did or stuff that we did 10 years ago because there's always something to learn. Cool? I really thought about that. Hold on, I gotta unscrew my thing. You have such a deep throat, I can't compete, I'm just gonna drink. Cheers. That was bad. Whew, those are disgusting. Thank you, man. Oh, thank you, Mark.